make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Hi everybody, welcome to Make Your Day Richer. I'm Richard Wilmore, and today our guest makes your day richer through her podcast, Courageous AF. And every time I say it in my head, I say it all the entire thing. And so I was very careful just now. And soon, starting today, she's also making our days richer through a podcast called Wolf Media Podcast Festival Podcast. I don't know. It's got like 9 different names. She's co-hosting with me, and it premieres today. Kyle, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to hear you say it out loud.
Today's the day. Can you imagine?
It's so exciting. Yeah, what a wonderful thing we're up to. I love it. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. Thanks for being here. I want to talk about your podcast first,
Okay.
And then we'll talk about ourselves even more. Because why not?
Mm-hmm.
You'll end up being here for an hour because we can't stop talking about ourselves. But tell everybody about your podcast.
Okay, I will. My podcast is called Courageous AF. I say it in my head too every time. Was
there a moment where you were like, I'm just going to call it what it is? Or was it always Courageous AF?
Oh, no, I wanted to call it what it was, but I also didn't want to get like hedged out of everyone listening. So I decided to do AF. But what's really funny about it is that there's a lot of people who don't know what AF means. And so I've had people asking me. Anyway.
What are some things that they're coming up with on their own?
They just don't even know. They haven't even speculated. They're just like, I'm embarrassed, but I don't understand what that means. And then I tell them, they're like, oh, I love that. So we're educating people.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Yeah.
Exactly. So the podcast is my own life story currently. It launched on Valentine's Day of this year. And the reason I launched it on Valentine's Day is because that was the anniversary of my mother's death, which was the beginning of this very long and complex story that is my past, that is my life when I was younger, that was riddled with a lot of trauma and loss and grief and pain. And I had spent the greater part of my life living as a victim of all of that and suffering greatly from depression and anxiety and just not being a very high functioning person, seeking out abusers because it matched what I was used to, you name it. And because I've done so much work on my own healing over the last, 11 years, honestly, I got to a point where I realized I was not on the other side of it, but I was in a space where I was able to come and share my story in an effort and a hope to inspire other people to see what's possible, no matter what life brings. And I say in the podcast, being human takes guts. I think we're all courageous AF. I know I am because I've survived unbelievable stuff. And I think when we're able to share our story, those of us who can, when we can, that it's incredibly vital that we do so, especially as women, because we're taught not to talk about these things. And so I am a stand for that. I am a stand for using my voice where I can to elevate and inspire other people.
I know you're a super creative person. You are a graphic designer and a musician. And do you paint? I feel like you paint.
Oh, yes. I'm a fine artist and illustrator.
Yes. And you do illustrations. I know you're working on a book right now. You could literally be here for 4 days and we would still have stuff to talk about with you. So why a podcast? Why did you choose that to go into as the art form for this story, not a blog or something else?
I love that you asked that question, and I'll tell you, I'm all about saying what's vulnerable. And so the vulnerable truth is I started a memoir 12 years ago. And at the onset of my healing journey, I started writing at the behest of one of my mentors, and I've got 98,000 words written in a file that's sitting on my computer as we talk. And for some reason, I just kept learning more about my history. I kept learning more about myself, and I wasn't ever able to sort of push it on through. And I think it's because of the podcast. I think actually what needed to happen was I needed to start by using my own voice. And my story, part of my story is about finding my voice and using my voice. And I realized that I love podcasts. I love this platform. I love talking. I love storytelling. And so I decided to task myself with just starting there because it felt more doable, honestly. And the further I've gone through the process and in doing the 26 or so episodes I have so far, is I've learned so much more about myself and so much more about my story that will then inform the book. And so I consider it just that it's all worked out perfectly.
Of course it has.
Yeah.
Right? Like, of course it has. What are you hearing from people that are listening to it?
Oh, wow. I'm very humbled by people reaching out to me because sometimes it's such a surprise, whether I'll get a DM or an email from someone saying, thanking me for being so brave, thanking me for saying things that they can't find the words to say, recognizing themselves in the story at some point, an experience that they've survived, and being just kind of appreciative to know that other people are going through it, and that's the point.
Yeah. What have you learned about podcasting, about yourself in the, what'd you say, 26 episodes?
Yeah.
What
I've
have you learned
learned
so far?
I've learned a lot about podcasting because I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I started. I am very familiar with talking on a mic, and I've been behind, in front of a camera and all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't shy about that, but I had to really do like a jam session of learning how to do all the technical stuff, the technical parts of it and the posting it everywhere. And I'm still learning, I'm still making mistakes and still learning, but it's fun. And as far as myself, I've learned to trust myself.
In this world of innovation, would you rather have an old, outdated flip phone or a brand new iPhone? A horse and buggy carriage or the newest luxury hybrid? A dial-up router with your AOL account or a super fast Wi-Fi hotspot? With nutrition, what you have been using or taking up until now hasn't been bad. There's just something newer. We all appreciate advancements in science and technology. In the same way we seek the best and newest in our electronics, vehicles, and everyday conveniences, wouldn't you also want the best technology and newest innovation for your nutrition and supplementation? At the time, you may have had the best from what was out there and available. Now, there is something better and newer, more bioavailable, more convenient, better tasting, faster acting. It literally is the equivalent to getting an IV full of high-tech nutrients right into your bloodstream, without the needle, without the appointment, without being attached to anything for a specific length of time. Simply pop these tasty, all-natural lozenges into your mouth and savor as they instantly start to absorb into your bloodstream through your mucous membranes. That's it. And with the added benefit of negative ions, in other words, energy, there isn't anything else out there on the market like it. Now is the time to switch to the next improvement and innovation in health and nutrition. It's time for advancement. It's time for better. It's time for APL Go and our rapid botanical DNA drops.
This is why we don't do everything live, because sometimes things happen. So, Kyle's interview was pre-taped and somehow it just stopped. So we're going to go back to Kyle's interview. I think we got it rolled up to about the spot that it cut off. I'm so sorry, Kyle. And so take a look more with Kyle right now.
Talking on a mic, and I've been behind, in front of a camera and all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't shy about that, but I had to really do like a jam session of learning how to do all the technical stuff, the technical parts of it and the posting it everywhere. And I'm still learning, I'm still making mistakes and still learning, but it's fun. And as far as myself, I've learned to trust myself more. I started before I was ready. I gave myself a deadline because I knew I would keep stalling and not do it. And so I've learned that I can do things like this. I can do hard things, and I can meet the challenge of being consistent and showing up and vulnerably and honestly. And I have a lot more self-confidence because of it, honestly.
Yeah, it's like a mirror every time you do it, right? Like you're just facing yourself, you're staring right at yourself, and you can, as the person who's editing it and doing it, you hear every word that's wrong, every blip that didn't make it, and all the errors. So I always do like, what's one thing I can make better for the next one? Like that's always my goal. Like it doesn't have to be perfect, but like, okay, that worked. Maybe I'll try a different microphone or something.
Yeah.
What day does it come out, and where can people find it?
What day does it come out? On Wednesdays. We had an episode released this morning, and you can find it on Apple and on Spotify. We should be on iHeartRadio, but I don't think that's released yet, but it's coming soon. Okay. Yeah.
Wednesdays are big days for you. You have all kinds of projects coming out on Wednesdays. So podcasting is so new to you. So we have a new joint co-hosting gig that premieres today. We'll play a clip of today's episode. And what drew you to the Wolf Media podcast?
Magic, I suppose, but also an interest in expanding myself and expanding my reach and using my voice in other ways other than just telling my own story. I want to actually bounce back and say that the Courageous AF podcast very soon will be bringing in other people's stories, interviews. I think that's important to share because it'll be a whole different sort of flavor. And I think I found Wolf Media Festival through one of the podcast groups that I'm a member of. And when I saw the question looking for hosts, something in me just said, you should reach out. This is something that you want to do. And I really didn't know that much about it yet, but I tend to live my life that way, where if it feels right, I do it. And so, it's just all come together magically, and it's really fun, and it's a different flavor for me. So I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I am usually like, I'll post in there because I people, hire me to find them places. And I don't usually like scroll looking for things for me. And so I went on that Facebook group randomly and saw it. Like it was the first thing that popped up. And to me, that was like, oh, you needed to see that. You need to check into that and discover it. How can you tell everybody what the podcast is about?
What the Wolf Media Festival podcast is about? Yeah, of course I can. You and I get to interview the winners of the Wolf Media Festival, whether it's filmmakers. It's a mouthful. It's a mouthful. So we're interviewing filmmakers, directors, writers, poets, artists, creators of all kinds who've won the festival. And so we get to talk to them one-on-one, you and I, and ask them questions and get to know more about them. And it's really fun.
Yeah. And anybody who's out there the list of art that you can submit to this festival is also, we could be here for 4 days just listing everything. And so make sure you go on the website. We'll put it in the notes and in the comments to see, because if you are out there making art, you probably can submit your work to this festival. And so you should, because if you're making good art, it should be celebrated. Absolutely. We're only a few. We obviously don't do them live. So how do you think it's been going so far?
I think it's been going great. I mean, it was much easier than I imagined, honestly, just to kind of jump into these conversations. And you and I have good banter, and we can share space really nicely. And that's also very fun. But yeah, I feel really good about it. I'm excited to do more.
I know. And there's a huge award ceremony next spring that we'll all be at, which will be fun in-person stuff. It's always such a magic about in-person
Yeah.
stuff. What are you hoping to grow your podcast into, and what are your kind of hopes in the podcast world now that you're 2 podcasts in and hosting?
Well, I just have said actually recently to someone, I was discussing my aspirations and dreams, and I made the claim that I would love to do podcasting and my creative work full time. And I think for my own personal podcast, so far it's really just been about doing it and showing up and getting the story out there. And as it goes forward, it's becoming deeply meaningful to me, and I really would love to get sponsorships. I'd love to have the podcast sustain itself financially so that I can give it my all and bring in lots of amazing guests and just see that grow. Really, I want my audience to grow first and foremost. So, yeah.
And also, if you're following the Wolf Media Podcast Festival, Podcast Media Festival, Podcast Media of the Wolf, you'll see some great graphics that you've made. So there's that out there as well. I know you're illustrating a children's book. Can we talk about that for a second? And I hope you come back when it's released, because
oh yeah.
Tell everybody how that came about.
So the book I'm working on right now is the second in a series for an author named Maggie Wheeler, and she's in Los Angeles. She's also an actor. People who've seen the show Friends would probably know who she is. She played Janice. And anyway, she and I've been friends for a long time. We used to sing together a lot, and I illustrated the first book, which came out last year, and that's Ebenezer Finds a Reason. And it's a story about a little shrew who has a sneezing problem, and it's just so cute. And so she's written a second one, and I'm moving through illustrating that. I should be done with that in a couple of months. So hopefully that will come out in the next few months, and I'll definitely share more about it. Yeah.
What does it feel like to be constantly surrounded by and making art?
It's amazing. It's my whole life. I mean, I knew when I was 3 years old, this is what I wanted. And so it's fulfilling that and having this beautiful opportunity to, I do have a lot of skills and I do have talents in multiple areas. And I used to make myself wrong about that. Like I needed to just pick one thing. And now I'm so in celebration of it because it means that my whole life is art. Everything that I do.
Yeah.
The best.
Literally. Yeah. That's, you can't get any better than that. If you get to create all the time and you're surrounded, not even creating it, but being able to ingest it and be around it and hear live music and see art, like there's just nothing better.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Kyle, thank you for jumping on and celebrating the premiere of the podcast today with me.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Courageous AF is Kyle's podcast. The Wolf Media Festival podcast is our podcast. And next week, we'll actually have our boss on, Jacqueline, to talk about what it was like to bring this to fruition and her involvement in the media festival.
Awesome.
So, Kyle, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.
Too. We'll be right back after this.
In this world of innovation, would you rather have an old, outdated flip phone or a brand new iPhone? A horse and buggy carriage or the newest luxury hybrid? A dial-up router with your AOL account or a super fast Wi-Fi hotspot? With nutrition, what you have been using or taking up until now hasn't been bad. There's just something newer. We all appreciate advancements in science and technology. In the same way we seek the best and newest in our electronics, vehicles, and everyday conveniences, wouldn't you also want the best technology and newest innovation for your nutrition and supplementation? At the time, you may have had the best from what was out there and available. Now, there is something better and newer, more bioavailable, more convenient, better tasting, faster acting. It literally is the equivalent to getting an IV full of high-tech nutrients right into your bloodstream, without the needle, without the appointment, without being attached to anything for a specific length of time. Simply pop these tasty, all-natural lozenges into your mouth and savor as they instantly start to absorb into your bloodstream through your mucous membranes. That's it. And with the added benefit of negative ions, in other words, energy, there isn't anything else out there on the market like it. Now is the time to switch to the next improvement and innovation in health and nutrition. It's time for advancement. It's time for better. It's time for APL Go and our rapid botanical DNA drops.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, so someone keeps buying me coffees. And so I just want to thank someone for doing that. And I think if it's the same person, they've done it a couple times and it's just someone. So thank you. And if you want to support the show by buying me a coffee, go to buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher. You can be anonymous or not. If it's not anonymous, you'll get your name in the credits, which you'll see everybody. Tons of people at the end of the show. So many people go into actually making the show happen, even though it feels like I'm sitting here alone. And so I want to thank everybody who contributes to this show, because without you, we would be nothing. Speaking of coffee, excuse me, but let me just grab a warm cup of coffee from my Ember mug that is now working after how many weeks? Perfectly 135 degrees. It is finally working as of today. So thank you to the Ember gods. I don't know what happened, but today it's working and hopefully it'll stay working. And my life can now be richer every day because my coffee stays 135 degrees all day long. They're not a sponsor, but they could be. Maybe I'll see if they have an affiliate link. Okay, my dad's coming tomorrow. I get to pick up my dad tomorrow. He's flying in from Wisconsin to help to visit and to help with Charlotte Pride. So he's very excited about that. I have his bracelet ready for him. He's going to be on the show. We're going to film an interview with him. I'm deciding whether or not I want to pre-record it or if we want to do a live show on Fridays. So, Friday. So if you would like to just see my dad live and ask him questions, my dad has been dealing with cancer, multiple types of cancer, since 1992, since I was in second grade, and I'm now 40, and has had a lot of reconstructive surgery, a lot of surgery in general, removing things, parts of his face. And so I wanted to talk to him about how he continues to make his days richer, what he does to continue fighting, because it is literally a fight. It feels like, from an outsider perspective, a fight for his life every day. And so what keeps him going? And so if you'd like to watch that, let me know in the comments. You want to do that live, or do you want to do that pre-recorded, or do you not care? Okay, so Dave's coming. What else? If you want to be a guest on the show, if you're out there doing good things, making people's days richer, or you'd like to sponsor the show and have a commercial on the show, just email us at makeyourdayricher@gmail.com and let us know what you're doing to make the world a better place, and we'll get you on the show. All right. I think that's it. I'm sore from the gym. Started at a new gym and doing different exercises, and my legs are on fire today. I've not been this sore in a long time. And that's what I wanted to tell you, is that it sucks getting older already. I'm 40 in 2 days, 40 years old in 2 days, and I'm very sore. All right, that's it. Tomorrow we have Christy Chadwick here, who's going to be talking about patterns and cycles that make us tick and what we can do about that and how she can help us. I'm excited for you to meet her and excited to talk to her. So we'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Make sure, we have a clip. Let me show this clip of the Wolf Media Festival podcast. It comes out today, wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Take a look at this clip.
But yeah, it starts off with a very fancy, formal red carpet event.
Oh, Kyle, we're going to have to match. We're going to have to have matching outfits.
I know. We'll call each other.
Since we're Disney princesses, I guess we have to match.
No, I'm having custom made Disney princess ball gowns
I will wear
for the
it.
two of you.
I will not, but
you know my colors. As long as I can goth it out a little bit, punk it out.
No, really though.
Okay. So go check that out wherever you get your podcasts. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.